going on there? How you doing today? Today we're going to talk about metaphysics and spirituality. I'm just waiting for my brother Jonathan Bathnick to join me, and we're going to have a deep discussion. You on? You on, Jonathan? We're going to get this going. Once he joins us, we're going to really discuss this. We're going to discuss spirituality and metaphysics. My brother, what's going on there?
Yes, my brother, I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, doing good, doing good. Nice seeing you. I'm happy that you are able to join us.
Yeah, it's good to be here and it's good seeing you for the first time, actually.
Same here, same here. We've been interacting all the time, and now we get to really talk and get to really get into this, discuss the spirituality that we indulge in.
Yeah, that's so true, and I'm, blessed for that.
So first before we continue on, just tell us about yourself a little. Who is Jonathan Bathny?
Well, I'm originally from the country of Grenada in the Caribbean, and before I knew anything, when I was a young child, I was into aviation. So I pursued that, a couple of years ago, and I'm a private pilot right now. And the mystical, spiritual side of me has been there all my life as well. But it's only been a couple of years since I've started really understanding it more and getting into it and overstanding it and all of that stuff. So, yeah.
So what was your first introduction? Because it's so beautiful. You and I, we share our same love for L.W. De Lawrence and his work, and how his work left a major impact on us. And the type of spirituality that we do, a lot of it is engaged. A lot of it has that type of work in it. So going forward, saying that, what made you really feel drawn to this type of mysticism?
Well, since I was a kid, something in me always say, if you believe in something hard enough, or if you focus hard enough, it's going to happen. So I used to pretend to, close my eyes and feel myself like, I'm believing that I'm going to be levitating somehow. So when I get older, I realize there's certain events and certain things happening that I couldn't explain. Like, it's just happening one after the other. I'm like, okay, this is strange but interesting. And when I went to live on my own for the first time, that is when I was more exposed to people of that nature. That's where I was exposed to people of experience, and being not only just being around it, but having that interest and that hunger for that type of knowledge and information that was then given to me because I was searching and I was worthy of it. Yeah.
And that also brings me the same thing with me. How I came across this stuff was at a couple of events that had occurred, but I just found myself drawn to it, and I came across several teachers, and everything that they said just clicked with me, and that's when I realized that the mystical lifestyle and the mystical way of living is amazing. How would you identify be yourself as a mystic? Because I see a lot of people now, they get a lot of these things misconstrued, and they do a little mixing of this and that, and they don't understand that the impact of your thoughts and your emotions and feelings, how that help bring things about. But how would you describe yourself?
When you say that, like in terms of a description.
No, your personal description. We know the description that the dictionary would, but to everyone is different. So some spirituality changes, and depending on who you're speaking to, they might have a different take on it. So I'm asking you, from what would you describe it as your take?
Well, from my take, that spiritual journey or that spirituality is really understanding and overstanding who you are as a person and fulfilling the purpose of life. Um, and in doing that is able to get you to really be efficient and beneficial to not only yourself, but the people and the world around you. you know. Yeah.
I like that because I realize when I come across various people and we do different things when dealing with spirituality, everyone will have their own definition. So before, because it's a broad statement, right? Because when you say spirituality, it could be very broad. But the specific spirituality that we engage in, because there's different versions. This version where we understand the power of our thoughts, our feelings, and how your imagination plays a part in everything that you do. And a lot of folks don't realize that because, you know, the Bible also speaks of how keep thy heart with all diligence because out of it are the issues of life. Most people forget this or they don't realize that the spiritual undertaking that this really means and what's in it. And that's why I always ask people, what is your take and how would you describe your form of spirituality or anything pertaining to that matter? So, what made you dive into the obia?
Well, you see, I'm always one to find the end of the road, to find the truth behind whatever it is I am in. Whatever it is I'm involved in life, people know that I would go as far as possible and become as great as I could possibly be in whatever it is. So, you know, when I started off, I took things one step at a time, taking instructions, the divine instructions and guidance one step at a time. And every time I receive some type of knowledge, you know, or download, as some people would call it, there will be an event that happens shortly after that would, you know, demand that knowledge, you know. So, you know, how things go, it just goes like step by step, one after the other. I'm like, you know, I could see it playing out. I can see it playing out. So not only that, you know, I want to find out what is at the end of the road, but how life is going on and how the the wave of divinity is bringing me. It's naturally bringing me along that road, down that road of mystery to really get into it, you know. And as you say, you know, I use a lot of metaphysics, a lot of thought, a lot of intention to guide that path as well, to ensure that it is one that comes without any, you know, issues. Because I see a lot of people these days, they're diving into things and they end up in issues, you know.
You know what? When it comes to those issues and people diving into things, I realize that a lot of people they want to do it as like a get rich quick remedy, not knowing that it's a science. It's a system where it works, but you have to be patient. You got to have the discipline because it is a mental discipline. I come across a lot of people who try to get something instantly or this or that or get mad or say it's not working. I'm saying, no, you are not allowing the work to work. You're not giving it time. If you planted a seed in the ground, you can't say, how comes I don't have a rose growing already or how comes I don't have an apple tree or whatever you planted? Give it time. And most people don't give it patience and they get fed up not knowing that this is to me, I think it's the greatest spiritual system ever.
Mm. Yeah, that's true because, you know, this is such a mix of a lot of good things.
Hold on, could you say that again? I think we lost you, lost some of the audio.
You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I was agreeing with what you said because like that system has been put together really well. You know, the fact that the Caribbean in general has, you can hear me now?
Say it again. I lost you again for a minute.
Yeah, I think it was something in the background that was making noise on your end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think it's good now. Yeah. So like I was saying, you know, that this system of spirituality has been put together really well because, you know, the Caribbean has a great reputation of, you know, having great systems that are put together really good, you know. So that's the truth.
No, it does, and it brings us to that as being a great system. Well, one of my favorite parts of the system is that it's just the way that you ever realize that your words form everything. So when you start to pay attention to that, and you understand your awareness and your focus, you'll start to see that the world around us is basically created based on our thoughts, our feelings, and who we are and how we express. Because everything that you, whatever is impressed, will always be expressed and manifest um, on the screen of space and time. So this system is phenomenal. I've seen great things and also not so great things. People, it's all about how you use it. It's not good or bad. It's kind of like a knife. You can use a knife to cut a cake, or you can use it to cut someone's throat. So it's not a bad or a good object. It's all in the mind or in the intention of the individual. But I tell people, when you studying this and you want to know this, study the system. Study it for what it is, because it is a beautiful system. And I love it.
Yeah. Um, now, with that being said, there's a lot of people out there who may have misconceptions or taboos about this system or in spirituality in general because of what somebody said or what they heard. I always say, so were they a part of it? No. So how do they know? How can they say? Were you a part of it? No. So how can you hate from outside of the club? So
Yeah.
it's, you get in, you realize, this ain't so bad. It's not how people said it is. This is where the truth lies. It's not just in, just an organized, you know, religion or practice or tradition, but this is something that really gets you to explore yourself, explore the I, explore nature and the universe around you, to really explore it for what it is, to absorb that energy that exists, and to shape, because like I always say, like you mentioned, everybody's reality has been shaped in some way or another by thought and by what they've said at some time in the past, you know. So yeah.
So like what you was just saying a while ago about how some people it might have been misconstrued, and some people think the system and spirituality are a lot of taboo. Now, is it just me, or do you realize that it seems like going forward, especially with the internet and everything, the taboos are starting to get ripped away? Where in some systems there's still a lot of taboo, but it's starting to go away. Like, for example, the most people who I will see, and some people will probably agree, some people won't, who are practitioners of this system will be a lot of diehard Christians, the same ones who will say, "Oh no, no, that's bad. This is good. That's bad." But the majority of the practitioners that I come across are religious folk, diehard church folk. Would you
Yeah,
say that you had the same experience, or is a little different way? But
I would say, yeah. I would say I've seen a lot of practitioners in the Caribbean who, especially, within the religions, you know, um, especially like certain denominations such as, let's say the Spiritual Baptist, the Shango, the Orisha, and so on. You can see,
mm,
these are a lot of Christian churchgoers, but they understand that spiritual or African aspect of their being and of life. So I've seen a lot of that. I've seen a lot of
yeah,
that.
and that's what I'm saying. When I tell people it's not good, it's not bad, it's a wonderful science. It's a mental discipline. It's a marvelous science. It could bring pain. It could bring joy. It's like anything else in this world. It's all on how the person who is the person behind the tool uses the tool, because it's just another tool. But um, the taboo going forward, I guess, with the internet and everything, and people are, we're starting to become a more connected culture. It is starting to go away, even though some people are still felt with shame. But I always say, don't be ashamed of something that is your identity, that's a part of you, that's in human society. Like, let's not be ashamed. Let's not shun it. It's beautiful and it is amazing.
Yeah, that's true. And I always tell people that too, like whoever you are, whatever you are, be that, be proud about it, show the world, because people when you come to Grenada and you hear about John, you hear about Abba, you think about somebody who is different, like he is born to be. We all are born to be. He is different. He shows it. And he doesn't apologize for that. So when I'm going out places, you can tell me I'm mad by the way I would dress, by the way I'm doing something out of the way that nobody else is doing. So
Mm.
When you do that, that's when life starts to open up to you. That's when life becomes something peaceful. That's why a lot of people struggle and suffer a lot of times because of thought and word, and because they're not embraced, they're not proud of who they really are. You know?
That's why I
Yeah.
always say when somebody forget who they are and they forget that they are the creator and the master, the ones who actually mold, shape, and fashion their destiny, and then they start failing themselves and they blame everyone else for what's going on, not knowing you are in control. Everyone else is just a byproduct of the experiences that you have created, and you might not be aware of that fact. And that's why I always say thoughts, words, and deeds, the three things, the Holy Trinity. Even though we're in a society with many Holy Trinities, but that's one of those things that will shape a person and it will mold you. And that's why the system is amazing and it is a beautiful system.
Yeah. Yeah. So people always have to remember. That's one thing I always preach. You know, anytime anybody approach me for anything, I say, first, your mind have to be right. You know, you can't just be thinking what you want to think, or lose that discipline. Because even in the Bible in Genesis, it says in the beginning was the what? The
The word.
word was made flesh, which means that, you know, that what was spoken was created. And if each of us, you know, this is how I break it down. If each of us is the creation is always a reflection of the creator, right? Everything is
Yeah.
one thing. You know, just as it was in the beginning, so it now and ever shall be. Now, that is to show that how much of that divine godhood that we have within us that we can exercise. You know, we are a reflection of the Creator, created in His own image and likeness. The Word was made flesh, you know, and it has been proven that the Word has power, and the thoughts have power. So that alone is proof to people, the power of the mind and who we really are and what we could really do. That's a proof. That's one of the proofs right there. First, as soon as you open that Bible, the proof is right there. Yeah.
It is there. You have any meditation techniques? Any
Yeah, I have a few. The one I used to practice the most was Zen meditation. That's where I would sit down in, let's say, outdoors under a full moon or in a quiet environment, and, you know, in the lotus form, you know, back up straight, you know, the usual, what most people may know. And I will try to not still the mind, but to put order in the functioning of the mind, the order of the frequencies within the mind. And on top of that, I am feeling myself connecting to nature without, you know, the cosmos and deep within, you know. So while I'm doing that now, that connection and that order within the mind, I can now start putting intentions and whatever I want out there while I meditate. And so that is for the Zen meditation. One of the other ones that I practice is called Transcendental Meditation. Um, that one is some next level stuff because it requires, I think it's one of the most effortless forms of meditation where the practitioner repeats a mantra that has been given by a transcendental meditation teacher. They repeat that mantra in the mind, and then almost immediately the mind starts to transcend. You start transcending. You enter that fourth state of consciousness, you know, which usually should be done twice a day for 20 minutes each time. So those are the two main meditation techniques that I practice. Apart from that, my other sub practices include like just, you know, affirmations every day and just really keeping myself open to the energies around, you know.
I like that. I like that. I do one meditation every morning where it's the rose technique. It's like an old ancient Indian technique where you're supposed to have for 5 minutes have no thought in your mind but a rose. So red rose. So at first, when you first start, you'll find yourself where your mind is trying to fight you. You have a whole bunch of thoughts. That's when you realize that the mind is a wild animal and it must be trained. So that's why. So I love the rose technique because for 5 to 10 minutes, the only thing in your mind is the rose. You got to hold that and not have no other image. And what it does is it builds your concentration, it strengthens your awareness, and a lot of other things. Because you'll realize that when you're able to just have one thing in your mind and not have a whole bunch of thoughts, a whole bunch of things going all over the place, you eventually start to see that, whoa, it helps me and aids me in my manifestations and everything else.
Mm.
Because no matter the issue, and this is something that I learned, there is always a solution that man can have. It's always in their mind. You can always build it. You can always figure it out. And when you do, it becomes amazing. It's spectacular, and it's one of those things that you just, you feel happy when you feel a burst of joy inside you.
Yeah, I really gotta start doing that rose meditation because it sounds
Yeah.
similar, sounds very similar to the transcendental because instead of the rose you have that mantra, you know. But that definitely seems like a really good concentration and powerful form of meditation too. That rose meditation. I'm thinking about the science of that right now, and it's making a whole lot of sense. You
Where it's
know.
just the rose completely in your mind, nothing else. So at first you're gonna find yourself like having a bunch of thoughts, especially if it's your first time doing it. You're gonna find yourself with a bunch of thoughts all over the place, and your mind is fighting you. But once you get it, you're able to control it and tame it, and just have the rose consistent in your mind nonstop. Everything else, even throughout the day, things that would get people mad or get people angry, you're able to control it in a way better way. So I always tell people, learn that rose one, and it's simple and easy. It takes dedication, but the science behind it is marvelous, incredible.
Wow. Also, I just forgot to mention too. Um, Transcendental meditation also comes from that background. Um, Sanskrit, Indian background. So you could already see that relation between those two, practices.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing. See, meditation, it's like physical fitness, right? Every day you go to the gym and you exercise every day to build your muscle. So now you got to build another muscle right here. And then you build the abs and you do one thing. And what does it take to build a muscle? Focus and dedication. Most people, especially with their mind, they don't train it. You'll see some people get up out of the bed and they say, I got up off the wrong side of the bed. Today's not going to be my day. Oh, it's going to be another one of those days, implying that it's going to be another one of those days that resemble the same days that gave them hell and gave them everything they hated. But they're already claiming it in the morning. They're already affirming that the day is going to be bad, not knowing that you probably could have had a good day, but your mouth already cursed you. In the beginning, there was the word, and the word was the word of God, and your tongue shall curse you. Don't let the tongue smite your whole day. People forget that. And this is why that morning meditation is important. It's just as important as eating breakfast because it keeps your mind flowing. And people forget that. And the more you forget it, the more you damage yourself. Remember, in the book with the Master Key with L.W. Delawrence, he had one chapter where he talked about all the issues that people have now, issues where their mental health starts to fade away and it seems like they're losing. He talks about how if you don't secure your mind and make sure you train that brain from young, it keeps away further problems like Alzheimer's and all the other things that come to your mind and come and destroys the mind. Because what makes something dead? When the mind is gone, you're done. Most people are dead and don't even realize it because their mind is gone and it's just wandering, not knowing that the more you allow the mind to become a wild animal, it goes against you. You have an issue where people will look at the facts and look at the outside world and they will curse themselves by saying everything is bad, not knowing that if you just focus that mind, it could take you out of all your issues.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so
Thoughts
true.
are things. You attract what you believe and become what you imagine.
Yeah, yeah. That people. I try to get people to listen every time. I was like, listen. You know, your
You know what
mind.
I realized with this stuff, getting people to get to it sounds easy in theory, but in practice for some to have the mental discipline,
Mm,
it's hard, it's difficult for them.
yeah.
It's because most people have a lot going on throughout the day. They have everything else going on. They let other things come in and it disrupts their whatever they're trying to accomplish. It takes a certain person that could still the mind and quiet themselves and really focus and get themselves to that point. That's why you see people will look at somebody who became successful, right? And they'll say, oh, he or she's lucky. Not looking at the times when they felt like quitting. You're seeing a finished product. You're seeing the outcome of somebody who used their mind to stick with their goal, and now you see the finished product. You're not seeing all the times when they seemed like the road was getting rough and it seems like they were lost. But you see the finished product, and that's the way how it is.
Yeah,
So that's why.
That's right.
So that's why, with the mind, it takes a lot of discipline. That's why I never condemn someone. I never say, oh, because I know that it sounds easy, but it's really a real deal practice. Because sometimes you'll have a moment where you flip or you get angry at that and you forget that I know what I'm doing. Because you add emotion to something will always materialize. That's the biggest thing I learned out of this spirituality, where thoughts emotionalized, whether good, bad, indifferent, no matter what it is, it will always come to life.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people lack the discipline, and when you lack the discipline, it's the worst thing that could happen to you. At one time, I had seen a young lady, and she was on the train, and she had sat in. I guess she had spilled her coffee on her blouse. She was angry, so I can understand it was rightful. And the more she kept getting angry, the more bad things kept happening. She then sat in some gum that was on the chair, and it just kept. And I'm like, see, if she if she was able to control that mind, that would have never happened. Because when you're able to think straight, you're able to get things done. When you're unable to think, your breathing is not right, your whole breathing pattern is messed up, you're breathing with a short breath, you're angry. But once you're able to control the breathing, control the mind, control everything else, and be still and know that I am God, from Psalms 46:10, all things will go well, and all things will go in your favor.
Yeah, that is true, because even when the best of people have their bad days, you could see too where something would frustrate them, they would let it get the better of them, and then you start seeing things just like domino effect, you know. So in situations, I always tell people that you cannot allow things like that to interfere with your energy. When you meditate, you practice that discipline where a mosquito would come on you, or ant gonna bite you, or some kind of thing. Are you going to let that stimulation, that's what I call a stimulation, whether of sound or feeling or whatever, are you going to let that stimulation overpower your power of concentration? So it's that discipline that everybody got to practice to be able to not let these these stimulations throw us off. Yeah.
There's another tactic, another practice that I was taught, where if you could do this, you take your fingers, right? And if you could twiddle your thumbs and count all the way from, you're supposed to start at 100 and go backwards all the way to 1. You're supposed to do it 5 times back to back. If you can successfully do it, and it's another one of those mental training techniques, it will build your focus and your attention. Because at first, it also builds up your ability to be calm. Most people will get angry and they say, oh, it's so repetitive, that they start to get angry and say, I don't want to do it no more. But if you could really do that, and you could do it and have no other thought in your mind but counting from 100 all the way back to 1, you're going to see how it is. The first time that you do it, it'll be a little, your mind is not going to be there, because, you're doing you're doing something for the first time. But after you keep on doing it, you're going to build up the awareness. And again, it builds up the focus. So just the little things that you do are what shapes the person and builds you up. Because every little thing that you do, it adds up to build a mental discipline that is needed, so one can be able to help their fellow man and also flourish. And by you flourishing, you help to make others. We got to always remember that we always interconnected. So one person can't try to get ahead without helping another. We got to always, that's the best way how to do. When somebody try to do that whole, just me, no, not you, it might look like they're winning at first, but they will always have their day, as they
Yeah.
say.
And if that day don't come now, like this is what I say, it's gonna come in the next lifetime. You know, when the true people, when the people who are serious and about helping others, and so they ascend after this period of incarnation, they're gonna be back going through another how much years of this hell, this suffering, this pain, this purification process, and hope they get it good next time. You know.
Always about that in the focus. All in the focus. Well, I love this conversation. It's good. We got to keep doing these sessions here because I see that we, as long as we keep giving out and people learn and they are fed, it's always a blessing. Where can everybody find you in the meantime? Until next time.
Well, you can find me here on Instagram, abba dot no underscore abba underscore obasi, or you could find me on Facebook, Jonathan Batik, Batihk. Um, so yeah, you could. I'm on YouTube as well. I think also Abba Obasi. I got to start uploading more content on YouTube as well. But yeah, for the most time, Instagram. I could always be found on Instagram. You know.
Instagram is a place to be. You know how it is. And, y'all can find me on mindworthyinfo.com and also on YouTube with Mystical Thinker with Rochelle Dixon. And we gotta keep these things going because I like these teachings. I like it. And I like talking to spiritualists who understand the science and know what they're talking about. And when it comes to this stuff, it's amazing and beautiful. So,
Yeah.
everyone, those who joined in, I thank y'all, and we thank y'all from the bottom of our heart, and hope you were able to learn something. And next time we should discuss more about the roles. And you tell me that you do it, then we're going to talk about it and break it down some more. You see the results, because that rose technique is amazing. Amazing. All right, so have a good one. Until next time, Jonathan, stay blessed, my brother.
Yes, I respect everybody.
Respect.
All right.